Welcome to the Innovation Lab webinar series. Our mission is to help your organization use communication strategies to advance your goals in your community. By using a few simple media strategies and some helpful tips, we make your community work easier and more effective. I'm Andalusia Null, and today we're going to be discussing elevator speeches. Let's get started. Now, I know you're thinking, elevator speech, what on earth does that mean? An elevator speech is basically a moment where you're encountering a random person and you get to give your spiel, your brief description of your organization, the work you do, and why it might be important to this random person you're talking to. I know you're thinking, here we are in rural Appalachia or wherever you may be that there aren't many elevators, but it's not just for when you're in the elevator, but really any moment when you're killing time, standing next to someone that you don't know, and they turn to you and say, what do you do? So, it might be you're waiting in line at the grocery store, or even here you are sitting in your innovation lab training room waiting for lunch to come. You start up a conversation with the person next to you. So let's think about what makes a successful elevator speech. It's a really brief conversation. It might only be 60 to 90 seconds. So say you're in that elevator door could open up at any point. Or if you're in that cashier line, they might be the next person up to pay. So you got to keep it quick and to the point. But you want to make sure that you're including those key points and in making sure that it's engaging and dynamic, because you don't want to lose them after your first line. So it's really key that you're defining a problem or an opportunity. Why is it that what you're doing is relevant? So an example would be if you're talking about backyard food gardens programs, you may want to talk about the benefits and how they're an affordable option for people to grow healthy food right next to their houses. But you also will want to talk about the problem. Maybe people need to have these gardens because there's a lack of access to fresh produce in the area. So now, you've informed them about that, but you want to know what's next. This person knows your organization or your program exists. What are they going to do with that information? Do you have an upcoming event that you could invite them to? Maybe there's a meeting, a play, a movie screening, or perhaps you have a print or an email mailing list that you could add them to. Maybe you got some social networking going on, some Facebook, some Twitter, and they're on one of those and they can friend your group. Also, if you have a card or if you have a flyer or brochure, you could give it to them with that info after you've given your elevator speech. So now we're going to go into example of an elevator speech. So let's say, I'm sitting waiting for the Innovation Lab trainer to start, and I'm sitting next to someone, and they turn to me and they say, what do you do? And I respond and I say, me, I'm a radio producer. I work on a show. It's about prisons. It's been around for a while. I don't even know how long, a while, I'm not sure. But, it's about prisons, but it's kind of complicated to explain really how it works or what we do. So, yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right, so I think we could probably all agree that that's not necessarily the best elevator speech we want to give. And, I'm sure that we've all maybe been in situations where, unfortunately, we were caught off guard, someone asking us what do we do, and we gave an explanation like that. So now I'm going to give a different elevator speech about the same project. So here I am sitting there, and someone says, what do you do? And I say, I help connect families with their loved ones incarcerated across Appalachia through a call-in radio show. There's so many prisons in this area, and people are being sent here from all over to serve their sentences, and they're really far away from their families. Therefore, it makes it really, really hard for people to visit their family members, their husbands, their children, their siblings. And also, it's really hard to call because the phone calls are prohibitively expensive. So this radio show that we do, it allows people to call into a radio station. They could leave messages, and then these messages are broadcast over the air, and folks that are in prison can tune in. And one thing that this radio program really does is it allows these prisoners to maintain a family connection, which really helps them transition back into the community once they get out. So if you're interested, you can listen to the show. It's on Monday nights at 7 p.m. on 88.7 FM. You could also listen online at WMMT.org. And if you don't remember any of that, you can just Google it. So just go on the internet and search for 1,000 Kites, and our website will pop up. All right, so what was different about these two speeches? Now, the first one, it really showed a lot of disinterest. It showed that I didn't really want to be talking to the person I was talking to, and that maybe I didn't even care about my project. I didn't remember when it started. I said it's too complicated to explain. And I really didn't think about why would this person want to know about the project I'm involved in. Also, it's important to think about, some of us work around controversial issues where people have, all different kinds of opinions about them. And it's really important to think, how can we frame these issues to appeal to many different kinds of people? So here I was talking about prisons, and a lot of people don't want to hear about prisons, or they have certain ideas of what it means to be in prison or the people that are locked up there. So I tried to humanize that story and think about how can I relate to this person, and, think that family values, and togetherness are something that a lot of people really focus on. So I thought, okay, what if I talk about the connections between prisoners and their loved ones and how they're being separated, and how our radio show focuses on family values and bringing them together. So we got, a bit of a review there of two different elevator speeches, and let's now get to your elevator speech. How can you develop one? So all of you should have an Innovation Lab guide, and the guide has worksheets in it, but they're not necessary, but they're really helpful. And right now, I'm just going to go over some of the things that are in your guide. So, and with the worksheet, you can be writing along, and practicing what you want to say. So let's think about your opening. It's really important when you start, you say that first line, that you're capturing your listeners' attention and their interest. You don't want to lose them by the second line. They're already looking at their cell phone, or they're waiting for the elevator door to open. And remember, you want to present what is the challenge? What is the opportunity? What is the specific issue that you're addressing here? And then, you want to follow up with the solution. What is your program doing that's responding to this issue? What's your organization doing? How is the community responding? And then, why is this relevant to this person? What are they going to do with this information? How can they get involved? What's the next step? So, it's really good. Write out the key points to these 4 parts. And then once you have those written out, you could start crafting your elevator speech. It's also really good to run these ideas by someone else, and practice. You could work with other members of your organization so that you're all prepared to give dynamic elevator speeches. And remember, it's not only how you're speaking, but also your body language. When delivering your elevator speech, make sure that you have passion, clarity, and focus. And make sure it's clear you're not just an employee of a nonprofit or a volunteer with the organization, but really a believer, an ambassador, and also an active participant. So, really got to remember, you only have that brief moment to leave that impression. And, elevator speeches are something you might repeat them over and over, but you don't need to change them every time. You might think of what's going to appeal to this person, but really it is a rehearsed speech that you have, that you're ready to go when you encounter that person. So let's just recap a little about what are the things we really need to focus on the elevator speech. So remember, it's only between 60 and 90 seconds, 1 minute to a minute and a half. Keep it brief and to the point, but also remember, keep it engaging. Make sure that you're defining your problem or opportunity. Make sure they understand, why the work that you're doing is important and necessary for your region and community. And also remember to end on an action. Let them know how they're going to get involved. Maybe you're inviting them to the next meeting. You're inviting them to an event. Or you're seeing how you can stay in touch with them. Give them phone calls, put them on a mailing list, and make sure if you do have that flyer or that business card that you're giving it to them. All right. Well, that was the latest edition of the Innovation Lab webinar on elevator speeches. Thanks for listening.